What's up, legends? Welcome to another episode, bring that a little bit closer, of the Interchange Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Lowe, and thank you for joining me again for another amazing week. Before we do go any further, as per always, I do have a very small favor to ask, and that is if you haven't already and you have been enjoying the content, even just the slightest little bit, if you could please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this with just one of your friends, because I know that by the more eyes and ears we get on this podcast, the more subscribers we get, the bigger and better guests I'm going to be able to bring for you guys. And in turn, the more value I'm going to be able to deliver. And that's what it's all about, giving you guys as much as I can. Now, today I want to talk about something that I call the 1% theory. So it's actually a concept that I picked up from the book Atomic Habits. So for anyone that hasn't read Atomic Habits, which is a book by James Cleary, I highly recommend doing it. I got a lot of doing it. I highly recommend I highly recommend reading it. And if not reading it, at least getting the Audible and having a listen to it, because when it comes to breaking habits, this book is absolute fire. I've taken a lot of concepts from this and adapted it as my own. I adapted them as my own and use a lot of these concepts with my clients. One of the biggest ones and most used ones that I do use, is that even good English? One of the ones that I do use the most, I should say, is the 1% theory. Now, coming up to the end of the year, a lot of you guys will be sitting there trying to make your New Year's resolutions. And as you know, with New Year's resolutions, generally what will happen, and trust me, I've been guilty of this as well, is that you think about it, you talk about it, you forget about it, right? They say that most people by the beginning of February have actually reneged or neglected their New Year's resolutions. In other words, gone back to where they were previously. And this is actually the same sort of pattern that we see when it comes to making change in general. So let's just say beginning of the year, beginning of Feb, let's call it 5 or 6 weeks. This is generally the period of time where people will fall off when it comes to making changes. And this is something that I've seen time and time again, especially in the PT world and even in the personal development side of things with the habits and self-worth and addiction coaching that I do. A lot of time people will get 4 weeks and they feel fucking incredible, and that little bitch voice in the back of their head's like, go on, man, just have that one drink. You know, it's just one. And before they know it, they're swinging off a chandelier at 3 o'clock in the morning and the dinner plate's spinning in the microwave. We've all been there as well, I'm sure. Anyways, well, the thing that I see here being the issue is that generally when it comes to resolutions, people try and make too many changes all at once, or they try and change too many big things all at once. And unfortunately, even though you're not happy where you're at, right now you're comfortable there. And that is down to a part of us called the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind makes up 30% of who you are by the age of 30%. Wow, I'm getting my numbers all over the shop. Bear with me, guys. I've had a big morning. We've went skydiving. We've done a massive workout. Hung out with my son for a while. It's been a draining day, and it's Saturday, and I still haven't had a good night's sleep this week, I don't think. Anyways, back to where we were. So 95% of who you are by the age of 30, I got my numbers right that time, is subconscious programming, meaning there's only 5% of you that wants to change. So let's just do the maths real quick on that. 5%, 95%. You can see why there's a bit of an issue here and as to why it is that we struggle to change so much. So even if you're not 30, it doesn't matter. This means that up until the years of 30 years old, up until the age of 30 years old, we're starting to program ourselves, and then we sort of become like a computer. And what happens is we wake up in the morning and we run autonomously because we do the same things we did yesterday, which then reiterates the things that we've done the day previously. And it also then justifies all the stories that we're telling ourselves. So this is the thing with the subconscious mind, it doesn't like to be uncomfortable. We are creatures of habit, but the other, I guess, scientific reason behind this is because we always try and conserve energy. Our number one purpose is survival. And so for survival, we need to try and conserve as much energy as possible. This means that if we're doing the same sorts of things every day, the body will go, okay, that's what I did yesterday. That's what I did the day before that. So I'm going to do the same thing today, but it runs on autopilot. So before you even know it, you're doing the same thing you did the day before. So let's talk about habits for a second, okay? Because usually when people make resolutions, it's going to be around some kind of habit. You know, you want to save money. That'd be an overspending or a being shit with money type habit. You want to get off the drugs and the alcohol. That'd be an addiction habit. You want to get a new job, okay? That's probably not more of a habit. That's more so of a getting out of the comfort zone and finding something that you want to do that's uncomfortable. Once again, back to the subconscious programming, the body doesn't like to be uncomfortable. So what will happen is generally we'll make these changes and we change everything all at once. Like you're trying to get off the drugs, you're trying to get off the piss, you're trying not to party, and you just change absolutely everything. You go and start the gym, and I'm going to use actually the gym here as an example. So you go and start the gym, you start running, you start eating well, you start sleeping every night at the same time, you stop going out on weekends, you start doing different things to what you've always done. Now, this isn't a problem, especially for a lot of people that have discipline. What will happen is they start to build some discipline, but they get to a certain point in time, usually the 4 or 5 week mark, and they start to fall off. Now, with PTs, a lot of the time they will see this as well. And I'm sure that you guys have probably even experienced this. You've done like an 8 week challenge or something like that, some kind of fitness challenge, and you do really well for the whole challenge. And then when it comes back to, without the structure of the challenge and without that thing you're working towards or that goal, well, then boom, all of a sudden you're back at square one. And a lot of people will lose weight and end up back where they were when they started, if not worse off. I've seen this happen time and time again with countless clients. And I've also seen it happen myself with, drinking habits and drug habits and all sorts of stuff in the past. Anyways, so how do we conquer this? How do we get over this hurdle of it being okay, all or nothing? Well, we need to get out of the comfort zone. We need to trick the subconscious mind to thinking that it's still comfortable. Because like I said, what will happen is we change all these things all at once and the subconscious mind goes, yeah, this is great, but I'm not comfortable. Okay. Even though I wasn't happy where I was previously, I was comfortable there. And that means that I am conserving energy because I'm not having to use as many calories to think and to do these new processes and to use the brain power to actually think about these things that I'm doing now. So we go back to doing the thing we did originally. And it generally won't happen straight away. But what you'll find is that over a couple of weeks, if you start to let your habits slip, you end up back at square one. Because what will happen is, first of all, let's say with the drinking side of things, it's like, come on, man, just go to the pub with the boys for one beer, just one beer. And that's how you justify it to yourself. Because you've been doing so well, right? You've been doing so well being sober. Let's go and celebrate with doing the thing we're trying not to do. It just doesn't make sense. But this is how cunning the subconscious programming is. It will do everything within its power to try and get us to fault and go back to where we were, the original default setting, which was, drinking, taking drugs every weekend, partying all the time, sleeping in, not going to the gym, not doing the things we need to do, overspending money, if we're trying not to spend money, for instance, okay, this comes back to a thing for external validation. If we're trying, let me start that sentence again. If we're trying to stop overspending with money because we're used to buying all this extravagant stuff for ourselves, even though it's leaving us with, debt and in a hole financially. Well, that comes back to that external validation. So you won't do it for a while. You'll feel good. It'll be like, yeah, I'm doing really well. But then the subconscious mind will go, but there's a sale on and it's Black Friday and Muscle Nation has all the stuff you need. And all of a sudden your fucking card is full and you've bought all the stuff and you've used your afterpay and you're still in the hole. Once again, it's just about that subconscious mind talking you into doing that thing. You've been doing so well. Buy yourself something. It's all good. No, it's not. No, it's not, because you're trying to break this habit. And this is where discipline comes into play. So first of all, discipline isn't something that we're all born with. And I've spoken about discipline before. It's something that is gained through consistent and conscious action around doing the things that you don't necessarily want to do because you know that they're going to have a good outcome long term. In other words, discipline is all about delayed gratification, which is something that a lot of us these days will struggle with, especially thanks to social media and the internet and seeing all these people around the world that are killing it on paper, right? Or, obviously in the photos. And obviously these are the overnight successes. So we're all looking for that get rich quick scheme, or the magic pill to fix the weight, or the super solution that's going to stop us from being an alcoholic. We're all looking for the get rich quick scheme. But the thing is, I'm going to shatter your world right now. There is no magic pill. There is no get rich quick scheme. It is all about consistent and conscious action and doing the same thing repetitively. And a lot of time it's about doing the boring things consistently. And I call these things the 1%. So back to what we're talking about with the Atomic Habits reference, the 1%. What is the 1% change that you can make today to become 1% better tomorrow? And this is the thing. It's like compound interest with the 1%. 1% today, 2% tomorrow, so on and so forth. Eventually, you're going to get to 100%. And they say that it takes anywhere up to 66 days to break a habit and create a new one. So that means that, let's say you start today, in 100 days time, if you're taking consistent and conscious action, you would have broken that habit and created so many new ones that are going to serve you rather than work against you. So my question to you is, what is your 1%? What is the 1% thing that you can do today that's going to make you 1% better than you were today, tomorrow? Hydration break is a hot day. That's what you need to do. You need to identify what this 1% is. So let's just say that the habit is, or that you're trying to break is, you're trying to stop drinking. Okay, the 1% habit could be literally as simple as waking up in the morning and writing down your daily affirmations. One of them being, I am no longer a drinker. I am the best version of myself. And every single morning, making sure that you do this. And also getting up on the first alarm. It could literally be as simple as that. And then we think about what actually has to take place for you to get up on your first alarm. Well, first of all, you need to not be hungover. You need to make sure you're getting up at a decent time of day. You need to make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z. So that 1% habit will create so many other little habits that will come off it. And this is something called a habit stack. But let's go a little bit further from that. And let's just go, okay, for instance, trying to get a new job, trying to get into your dream career. What would be the 1% habit that you can implement to start to help you to do that? Well, first of all, identifying what the new career is. And if you can't get clear on that, we can have a chat. I'm happy to sit down and have a bit of a goal setting session with you guys. Anyone that wants to reach out, please do. I'm here to support. Anyways, obviously that's subject to availability with my timing. But if you've got your goal, you know where you want to be, you know what you want to do, what your living wants to be, or what you want to do for your living, then identify what the 1% would be. Okay, what are the changes that you need to make in your life to have the job that you want to have? Are there any courses that you need to take on? Are there people you need to be surrounded by? Are there people you need to reach out to? Okay, and it's not just about doing this one thing once. Okay, when it comes to making consistent and when it comes to making lasting change, it needs to be consistent and conscious action that you take. So identify this 1% as being one thing that you can do every day, and you can literally obsess about it. It can become habitual. It's something that you do every day, day in and day out, that's going to help you to start to achieve what you want to achieve and have the best version of you and have the best life that you want. If it comes to trying to get that new job, maybe you need to message 20 people per day to find out if there's any roles available. Maybe you need to connect with 20 people on LinkedIn. Maybe you need to go and study a course, and that 1% could be doing 20 to 30 minutes of study every single day to help you to upskill to get into that role that you want to get into. Can you see how the 1% work? Okay, the 1% can be absolutely fucking anything. So you want to stop drinking. Go one day. That's the 1%. The 1% is don't have a drink for one day. If you can do it for one day, you can do it for 2 days. If you can do it for 2 days, you can do it for 4 days. If you can do it for 4 days, you can do it for 8 days. And that'll be your 1%. You can commit to that. Start to make the changes that you need to make around that to obviously eliminate the temptation from your environment as well. But that'll all come as part of it. Just find that one small thing that you can commit to that will become your 1%. And eventually, like I said, just like compound interest, this 1% will turn into 100% and you'll be 100% of the way to where you need to be. But the thing is, if you keep sitting there and making excuses for why you can't have the life you want to have, why you can't stop drinking, why you can't stop taking drugs, why you can't stop being in abusive relationships, why you can't walk away from the relationship you're in, why you can't have X, Y, and Z, you name it, then I can guarantee you'll never have it. But if you sit down, take a second and identify what the 1% change is for you that you can start to make today that'll make you a better version of you tomorrow, eventually you're going to get to where you want to be, because all it is putting that one step in front of the other. And that's what the 1% are. They're little steps, just one step at a time. That's all it fucking takes. So my question to you, coming up to New Year's, coming up to Christmas and that time of year, obviously when everyone is ready to make these New Year's resolutions, is my first thing I want to say to you is number one, set goals. Don't set resolutions, because resolutions have this thing where they're not that important. But if you set goals and actually stick to them, okay, these are the things that are important to you, well, fucking you're going to be more likely to stick to them. And don't just think about them. Write them down. I've got a vision board here. I've got a whiteboard right behind you guys here. I've got, even on my phone screen, my phone's over there. Even on my phone screen, I've got my goals for the next few years, literally on my screensaver that I see every single day. Write them down, break them down, make a plan, and then figure out what the 1% is going to be for you to get there. Because resolutions, like I said, they go out the window in no time. But if you set goals, specific goals, and have an idea and a direction of where you want to go, where you want to be, where you'd like to be this time 12 months from now, well, then you have a plan to follow and you have something there to keep you accountable. Because unless you put a plan in place and to take those 1% towards helping you to reach that goal, your goals are always just going to be scribble on a piece of paper or a thought rattling around in your head. So let me ask you, what is your goal? The one thing that you'd like to achieve by this time next year, okay? When this comes out, this will probably be around the 27th, 28th of December, right before the new year. Perfect time for you guys to start cracking into it and get set on your goals for the new year. So what is the one thing you would like to have achieved, or you need to have achieved, or you would like to change in your life? And then from there, just identify what that 1% is. What is that 1% change that you can make today, that you can commit to for the foreseeable future that'll help you become a better version of you tomorrow? I'm going to leave you guys with that. And by the way, if that is something you struggle with, you can't seem to put a plan in place, you can't for the life of you figure out what that first step is with that 1%, reach out. This is one of the things I do with every single one of my clients that I work with. And I'm happy to go through this with you and have a bit of a goal setting session to help you to understand how simple it is to make change and obviously to start to achieve your goals. And also, I said simple, not easy. And I go over this time and time again. It's not easy to make change, but it is simple because once you have a plan in place, it's just about pulling the trigger and taking action. I can help you up to a certain degree, but the rest is on you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, you fucking beautiful humans. I'll see you soon.